You good? All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
Brothers out of Great Millstone, Atlanta. Before we get started, we would like to give all praises and infinite glory into
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachafadash.
double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And also peace and safety to the Akim that's spread across the four corners of the world, that's pushing out this truth with all diligence and also putting their lives on the line to do so. We're just here with the, another, live stream, basically kind of like an overview of First Kings, the 3rd chapter, with Solomon, asked the Lord, for wisdom, man, to be able to discern between good and evil, because these are the times, that we're living in, to be able to discern from what's right and from what's wrong. That's what separates us, and Lord willing, we be a part of that number. It allows us to be joint heirs with Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That word heir is going into, like an inheritance, man. So without further ado, did any brother have anything to say?
I got a quick precept.
Well, Con, go ahead. Just leading up, to the chapter. But
Con,
you got it.
Con. Proverbs 3:13. It says, "Happy is a man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things that canst desire are not to be compared unto her." And I just wanted to open up with that precept because First Kings, the 3rd chapter, deals with how King Solomon prayed for wisdom, Salaki, and everything else, the riches, the women, and all of the other things were added unto him by simply just praying for wisdom. Now, wisdom is compared, it always refers, the scriptures always refers to wisdom as a her or a she. So it says, one that findeth or get her has something that's more precious than rubies, which is a very valuable stone. Okay, so wisdom is the highest level of things that you can obtain, in your spiritual arsenal. You got it, bro.
Yeah, that's right. So, like, could you reread that precept again?
Yep.
I had that precept pulled up as well.
You want to read from the top?
Yeah, got it.
Proverbs 3:13. Happy is a man that findeth wisdom, and a man that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold.
You see, so the understanding, of wisdom and knowledge of the scriptures is far off better, like the officer was mentioning, it's far off better than any other thing that's, given it to you in this world, man. Because Esau can take your money, he can take your family away from you. Only the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, can play with your mind, man. And that's the importance of gaining that wisdom, because if you're on the good side of the Lord, then you have nothing to worry about, man.
That's right. I'm gonna let you get to it, Bible shop.
Yeah.
That's why the scriptures tell you to store up your treasures in heaven, where moth and rust doeth not corrupt, or thieves cannot break in and steal. Because once you have wisdom, there's, like the brother was saying, no one can take that away from you. Now, they can take all away the carnal things that you may have, but when it comes down to the knowledge and wisdom and understanding that you've gotten through the scriptures, nothing is to be compared, and it can't be taken away from you.
This is saying the same book. This is Proverbs 4, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. It says, "Get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. With all thy getting, get understanding."
Yeah, like the officer mentioned as well, when the scriptures, speak about wisdom, it refers to it as a sheep. So that's not necessarily speaking of a woman. That's speaking of wisdom, man.
And 2, wisdom, when it says wisdom will preserve thee, applying wisdom in certain situations can really get you out of trouble and preserve you. And everything in this world, every action requires some degree of wisdom. So by having wisdom, it can keep you in that straight and narrow, as it says in Sirach, the 4th chapter. How she take you on crooked paths, until she gains your trust, roughly paraphrasing, and then she'll dwell with you.
Anybody else? If not, we can start off in that King.
This is
y'all was add something, add to it. But yeah.
This is 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 1. And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took.
So like the word affinity, but basically means that Solomon was made son-in-law, to the Pharaoh of Egypt because he married his daughter. What you got?
Okay. And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had made an end of building his own house and the house of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and the wall of Jerusalem round about. Only the people sacrificed in high places because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, walking in the statutes of David, his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places.
If I could say, the reason why the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, came to Solomon to inquire where he wanted, because he was pleased with Solomon, because he was sending up offerings, man. He was sending sacrifices to the Lord, Yeah.
Okay. Verse 4. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar.
1,000 burnt offerings, man. That's a lot of offerings, man. So Solomon had a certain type of relationship with the Heavenly Father in order to even, be able to send up thousands of offerings, man. You got it.
And in Gibeon, the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And the Most High said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day.
If I may say, just to make a point with the affinity, like the brother said, that does mean to, be a son-in-law, but also Solomon did that as like a power move too.
Yeah.
Because when you go later into, of course, 1 Kings in this book, you got Hiram and things of that nature. Those were the Hamites and whatnot.
Yeah.
He had them go do things. Without that affinity, he wouldn't have that type of, even though, power, even though King David kind of like had everybody in subjection for him to rule over, but still making that affinity was a big power move that Solomon did.
It's like a church move, like how you said, like, just for instance, in nowadays, for like if a man, wanted to marry, technically we know that sex is marriage, but if a man physically wanted to marry a woman nowadays, he'd go to the father and ask, can I marry your daughter? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he asked for that blessing. You know what I'm saying? Just have that father on good side, so he won't, be he married my daughter without even asking. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you got it.
Can I get a quick one?
Go ahead, bro.
This is Daniel chapter 11 and 6. Just bringing out a point on, you can kind of say affinity. It says, in the end of the years, they shall join themselves together, for the kings of the daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand nor his arm, but shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begot her, and he that strengthened her in these times. I ain't gonna go too deep into that, but I know verses 5 and 6 and Daniel 11. There's 10 different kings in between those two verses, but just I want to bring out the example of verse 6. There was an affinity made within that. Of course, go study that and see what it actually is. But we're gonna get back to First King.
1 Kings 3 and 7.
I was just gonna say the blue letter says it makes the point of it being a contract.
Mm-hmm.
It was a power move by Solomon.
Yeah.
Solomon was a power move type making individual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't have to do a lot of war movements like his father did. He just made those power economy type moves, political moves, things of that nature, which in turn made him run a great kingdom. You got it, bro.
1 Kings 3 and 7. And now, O Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, my power, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in.
Right. That quick, because we're on verse 7. In verse 5, you have to clarify that it was in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
You have to clarify that. All right.
Yeah.
Can you get that word dream in the blue letter?
I don't have my phone.
Oh, yeah, we're about to shot because this is something you have to clarify. Just to give another example, since we're speaking of Solomon, we know who he was, and we know who Yahweh Shai was in the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon.
Yeah.
I think he even mentions that in Matthew 11, if I'm not mistaken, 11 or 12. But when Yahweh Shai was born, or in that time period, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Joseph.
Yeah.
Every time an angel came to him, he was in a dream.
Yeah.
Every time. Hold Job 33. You already know what I'm talking about.
Still a man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the Lord can deal with the individual in a dream, in his sleep, in his most humble state.
Mm-hmm.
Because man walking around proud, but in the most humble state, he can deal with a man so simplistically.
Yeah.
And tell him what he needs to be told. That's why men have visions.
Yeah.
You know? You got it?
Yeah, it's the etymology. I'm slacking. The blue letter says dream. It says ordinary dream with prophetic meaning.
That's it.
Yeah.
Dream with the prophetic meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going on right here. Solomon is having a dream with a prophetic meaning. Same thing with Joseph. He had a dream with a prophetic meaning.
No, you got it, bro.
You want me to bring in Job to make that point?
Yeah, bring that out.
Come. Job, I started verse 14, but the point is in 15. Job 33 and 14. For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceiveth not.
That goes to show you the pride of men.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, bro.
In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men.
Hey, you know how Jake said, I'm going to catch him sleep, or I'm going to catch him lacking.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm just going to catch you when you sleep, because you too damn hard-headed.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead, bro.
It says, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction.
Yeah. Yeah, it say he opened up the ears of men, meaning he opens up that understanding, man. Like the officer was going into, that's like a humble state that you're in. Because even, just to make mention when people, die in their sleep, they say that's the most peaceful way, to go, man, to go out is in your sleep,
You
man.
know they still feel that stain.
Yeah.
You can't get away.
Yeah, you can't. But you got it.
One more verse, Baba Shah.
Yeah.
It says, verse 16 says, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from men.
Mm.
That's like the officer was saying. That's why it said in verse 14, God speaketh once and twice, yet a man perceive not. That's why he got to get you in a docile state. When you're in that realm, that sleep.
Said he's seal up the instructions. Also proves there's no such thing as free will.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You go go to sleep at night, you wake up the next day,
Wired.
you already set
Yep.
to what
Wired.
you gonna do.
The way the Lord wants to have you.
That's why it's pivotal to pray before you sleep.
Yeah. You got it, bro.
I'm gonna reread verse 7. 1 Kings 3 and 7. And now, O Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh my power, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude.
And that shows you how the Lord can really, the scriptures say that he can raise up stones, man. You know, the Lord chooses who he wants to deal with, man. It's not up to that person, man. You know?
Yeah, because Moses had the same issue.
Yeah, Moses.
You got it, bro.
Moses, you know, he had that, that doubt within himself that because he couldn't, his speech, you know. But the Lord said, I just do what I say, man. You know? Yeah, and he gave him Mary.
Verse 9. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
See, and in order for Solomon to have to ask for this, he had to be humble, man. You know, he had to be in a humble state of mind, just going back to that dream, man.
Well, he even says it in verse 7. It says, "I am a child."
Yeah, I'm a child. Yeah.
I know not how to go out or come in.
Yeah.
Imagine that, the humility to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lord, I'm just a humble servant. I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground.
Right. If I can say too, it even more so shows humility because he was the king. You know, he was already the king, and he said, "Look, I don't know what to do. You know, I don't know how to rule these people, but I'm in this position. You know."
And if I can say real quick too, and even the way that King Solomon spoke of the nation of Israel, you know, giving them, a certain level of reverence, thy people, thy great people, that even, though a lot of our people are in, a lot of darkness as far as spiritual darkness, we as the hopeful elect, hopeful leadership of our people, man, we have to see the good in our people and work to, really help those things come to the light, so to speak.
Quick precept. In Matthew chapter 6 and verse 8, it says, Be not ye therefore like unto them, which is speaking of the heathens. It says, For your Father knoweth what things ye need of before ye ask him. So the Lord, knew what Solomon, needed before Solomon even asked for it. That's why he came to him. You know what I mean? So and we go, of course we go, because Romans 15 and 40 it says, well, everything that's written aforetime is written for our learning. That's why we go into these prophecies and these overviews of the scriptures, because we need these things for our lives today, man. The Lord knows what, we need, but it's up to us to be able to actually pray and ask the Lord for these things, man. Just as King Solomon did. King Solomon didn't ask for riches or women, or shoes or clothes, like how Jake be doing in the world. King Solomon, he said he wanted to be able to discern between good and evil, man. You got it, bro.
Verse 10, 1 Kings 3 and 10. And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And the Most High said unto him, Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment.
So, can a brother get that word discern on the etymology? Because it said it pleased the Lord that King Solomon asked for this thing, man, which we know that like the Officer Kasha Kwala mentioned, through reincarnation, we know that King Solomon was Yahweh Shah, man. Yahweh Shah was the ultimate version of how to discern between good and evil, man. But you got the word.
I got it. It's discern on etymology online dictionary.com that says perceive or recognize the difference or distinction between two or more things.
That's what that's a Quadash, man. Holy, separate. You know, to be able to discern who's holy and who's not, man. You know, that's why we have these books such as Wisdom of Solomon, Song of Song, Proverbs. You know, because the Lord gave King Solomon this wisdom in order to us to receive and understand it these days, man.
Yes.
Read the Hebrew. Make sure you always read the Hebrew.
It says also distinguish
The Hebrew.
How you say it?
Oh, well, he's in
Etymology?
Yeah, I got to move it.
Read the Hebrew.
Yeah, this is for the word discern. It's in the Hebrew H8085, and it's Shemai, in which there's a lot of definitions that it goes. I'll hit some key points. It says to hear of or concerning, to hear with attention or interest, listen to understand, to hear, to listen, give heed. I'm gonna jump down to the Strong's definition. It says to hear intellectually.
Hey, if it says to hear completely, right? Well, it says to hear a lot consecutively. That's what I was trying to say. Meaning, whenever you have a good level of discernment, not amusing, but assuming goes out the window because you're listening and understanding things before making an assumption. You know, the simple cliche saying, assuming makes an ass out of you and me. To hear something and to listen will in turn gather up a high level of discernment within you to where you're not assuming anything. You're just observing and you can decipher what's morally good and bad. Having a good conscience, that's what conscience means. Discerning what's morally good or bad.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, it says to hear. It's like I said the wrong word. To hear intelligently.
If I could say, the Apocrypha talks about in Sirach, it says to examine the whole matter.
11.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah, consent, consider, be content. That's a lot of meat, but you know, that's the point.
I got you, bro. I'll start at 7. Sirach 11:7. It says, "Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, then rebuke." And verse 8, it says, "Answer not before thou hast heard."
Woo. That's the intelligence, like the officer that I just said, read in the blue letter.
Yeah.
That's the making it intelligent. Esau calls it an educated.
Hypothesis.
educated guess.
Educated guess. Hypothesis.
Y'all brothers know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because going back to the First Kings, it says King Solomon asks. It says he asked for thyself to understanding, to discern judgment. That's being a judge, man. You know, if you're a judge, you have to be able to discern, man. That's the whole point of having a case is to be able to discern who was right and who was wrong in the situation that happened, man. You know.
Yeah, because even like literal, when you go before a court, you may have the juror, but the ultimate decision is the person with the most discernment. Because these jurors is random people, you know, that may have biased opinions.
Yeah.
That's what feelings, you know, especially if you got women, you know. So that's what, like the brother was saying, a judge comes in because they are seen as having the highest level of discernment, you know. So juror may rule one way, you know, but if the judge see it differently, they're gonna ultimately have to say because they've been, you know, entrusted with that, with making that decision.
Yeah. Quick brief.
Okay, I'll finish this one.
Oh, so like yeah.
This verse 8, it says, "Answer not before thou hast heard the cause, neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk."
Jumping to conclusions, you know, all the facts ain't even out.
Oh, no. Man, chill out, bro. I'm going across.
Right. A dialogue.
Exactly.
And that was a heavy word too, as far as the discernment. Even going to Shema, which really means to hear. Like going into discernment meaning to intake the information so you can actually make a good sound judgment. You know.
Exactly.
Continue on.
It's
like yeah, kind of.
So it's Psalm 72:1. It says, "Give the king thy judgments, O the Most High, and thy righteousness unto the king's son." And this was a psalm of King Solomon. So he's speaking of King David, which we all know that King Solomon was the son of King David. It says, verse 2, he shall judge thy people with righteousness, and thy poor with judgment. And this is the reason why the Lord had set up righteous men to be kings of the earth. Because here it is, we have Esau ruling. He's not a righteous judge, man. You know? He's not a righteous judge because his laws is all over the place, man. You know? And that's the level, you know, that we strive to be on with the Yahweh Shem Yahushua, to be able to judge in righteousness, man. You know? But you go back to it. That was all I had.
This is 1 Kings 3:12. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days.
Which also goes to prove the fact that is Yahushua.
Yeah.
There was no other ruler after him like him, and there would be nobody else like him in the future.
Yeah.
Yahushua is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords.
Yeah.
Every mini prayer.
And that is also too wisdom. Wisdom is the root of riches. You know, like if you want to become, you know, prosperous, you need to get wisdom. You need to become wise. You know, and we're not talking about worldly to be prosperous worldly. We're talking about prosperous in the scriptures. You know,
Shit, even in the world.
even in the world.
You can't be a dummy trying to fucking start a business. You don't know the first fucking thing. You know.
Hey, wisdom is both.
Yeah.
Like if you have wisdom, the carnal things just by default are gonna come. Because if those things don't come to, you know, quote unquote show for it, at this point you just have knowledge. And you're not exercising the knowledge, which is the wisdom part of it.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, what's the point of having all this knowledge or quote unquote wisdom and you still a bum, you can say.
Well, in the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon said that he had the knowledge of the world.
Right.
And it vexed him.
Right.
So yeah, he said he knew all things.
Yeah.
And he said it vexed his spirit, man. So just by King Solomon asking for wisdom and knowledge, the Lord said, hey, because the scriptures above said the Lord was pleased that he asked him. So I said he got your riches. You know, not only do you get wisdom and knowledge and understanding, but you got riches along with the knowledge of the world as well, man.
And don't think it was just a magic genie in the bottle.
Right.
Like the Lord said that. When you continue to read on in the Kings, it show you, like we said, the power moves that he made to gain those.
Yeah.
Whoever would have thought of sending them Hamites over to the other side of the world to go get these peacocks, this gold, these silver, all these other things, and bringing them back, going on a 3-year journey.
Yeah, God.
That's very wise. And that's how he started gaining riches and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You know, got
it.
1 Kings 3:14. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings and made a feast to all his servants.
I got a quick one. To verse 14. This is Proverbs chapter 3:1. It says, that's what you get?
Yeah, what you got?
This is Proverbs 3:1. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. Verse 2, for a length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
They'll keep going.
1 Kings 3:16. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And the one woman said, O Lord, I and this woman dwelt in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And that's like you just say real quick, and this, like brothers been going into, this shows the application of, you know, knowledge, so to speak, which is, extension wisdom, man. Putting things of truth to practice, to work, 1 Kings 3:18. And it came to pass the third day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom.
Yeah, if I can say too, bro, a person without wisdom would have heard them like, oh yeah, give her a child.
Yeah.
Without hearing the conclusion of the whole matter and jumping to conclusions. Because that sounded like a legitimate scenario.
Yeah.
She rolled over and killed hers. Now she want mine.
Yeah.
Someone without, a level of wisdom would have heard that and been like, give her a child.
And
let's get out of here. I got more important shit to do.
Yeah.
As being a king. Right.
Yeah. And not only this happened after King Solomon sent up the burnt offerings into the Lord after his dream, the Lord gave him a situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just like how we pray and we ask for faith, or they ask the Lord to be able to understand, and whatever the case may be, the Lord presents situations into you, and this is the perfect case, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they were harlots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He could have easily been like, man, I got bigger fish to fry. If y'all don't get the hell out of here, just take the child. Who cares about a harlot's child? But he had to, being the king and being a very wise king, he knew that the things he had to let it play out and hear the whole conclusion. And ultimately, well, I ain't gonna tell you. Go ahead, bro. You got the scriptures.
This is 1 Kings 3:19. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it, and she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son.
Imagine, if I could say, imagine these two nigga women arguing back and forth. Like, that's just you and you and no, it's mine. It's like, that's all hell right there. Right. And shoot, I'll tell you this too, man. This goes to show you, even so, this is the inception of Solomon's rule, you could say, right?
Yeah.
This matter is coming up to him, so this went through levels.
Yeah.
Okay, so an officer couldn't make the decision. Oh, let's take it up to the captain. The captain, let's take it up to the priest. Take it to the king. It's levels that had to go through that these other individuals didn't have the wisdom that King Solomon had to deal with it. So this ended up coming up to Solomon. He was like, all right, I'm gonna do it.
I got a precept laying back and on what you just mentioned. It's James 1:5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High.
Bro, read it all. Because that's one of my favorite verses. Go ahead. Read it all.
James 1:5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed.
Babak Rashad, option died. Can you go back to verse 9?
God. This is 1 Kings 3 and verse 9. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
Go to verse 5.
1 Kings 3 and 5. In Gibeon, the Lord Yahweh Shai appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and the Most High said, Ask what I shall give thee.
Simple. So Solomon followed the instructions. We'll go into verse 5.
Ask and I'll give you. The Lord been saying this since the jump, bro. I know we always bring it out in John.
Yeah.
You know, I think John 14, ask anything in my name and I'll give it to thee, just loosely paraphrasing. But he been the same thing here. Ask and I'll give it to you. Verse 9, ask. James 1 and 5. Ask the Lord, he'll give it to you liberally, meaning freely. It says upbraideth not. Upbraideth meaning not. It's confidential. Meaning he's not going to talk behind your back. And it's between, that's the relationship that you and the Lord have built for you to be confident enough and comfortable enough to ask him a question of something that you need. That's the same thing that happened here with King Solomon. And now he's reaping the benefits when we're going into this account here about these 2 women and the children. But mind you, this had to go through layers to be presented to the king. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we have the wisdom today to handle things at
a
small layer. The things don't gotta go up to our heads of camps, our elders and our apostles. Things would be settled, boom, and it's a well-oiled machine from there. And this shows you how King Solomon got the rest of Jerusalem or Israel in line. With this wisdom that he received. Ooh, he got power. It's like Goku turning Super Saiyan.
It's powerful.
And then go test it against Frieza.
That's exactly how it is, man. Yeah. Hey, Tobias, you got something?
Come.
Yeah.
This is Proverbs chapter 4, verse 21. Let them not depart from thy eyes. It's like it. I'm gonna go to verse 20. My son, attend to my words, and incline thy ear unto my sayings.
Ooh, that's it.
Let them not depart from thy eyes. Keep them in the midst of thy heart.
You got it.
Yeah, that's how Israel is really gonna come back to the Heavenly Father. Like you mentioned, for example, the righteous kings of Israel, one of them, King Solomon, he prayed for wisdom instead of riches. So nowadays, Jacob is all about that, but really, the Lord's gonna give Israel the kingdom of heaven, with his words. It's about obeying.
It's great to say, seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and all of these should be added unto you. But we can go back to that King Solomon.
Kind of just rereading 1 Kings 3:21. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. Then said the king, The one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it.
Hey, if I may say, low key what this brother was saying, the officer Rock was saying, like, man, these are two harlots, and he could easily been like, man, get this low key, give me a sword. Get them out. Get them out. That low key, that's what he did. Like, bro, I do not have the time for this. Give me the sword. I'll chop it. You can take the lower, you can take the other hand. Low key.
And that's
or high key.
And that's how you know that our Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua works on magnificent levels. Because in the verses above, King Solomon was saying, Yo, Lord, I'm a child.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, Lord, I'm a child, man. You chose me. You know what I'm saying? Now he's making a decision such as this a level, man. I
can say too, that's not just like a decision to purchase land or something. That's a life and death. That's probably if not the most important type of decision to be made. When he was given that wisdom to make that decision. What he do? Which brother's going to continue to read on. The end of it is going to be the result of using wisdom.
We're reading 1 Kings 3:26. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, For her bowels yearned upon her son, and she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided.
See, that's selfishness in the woman, man.
That's a response of a person who clearly not the mother of the child.
Right.
Because a mother's instinct is to be a nurturer,
Caretaker.
Yeah.
That's a cruel statement to say, well, just divide the little motherfucker, man. Give me, half and her half. That's not.
Reveal the heart to
Yeah.
That show how finished she was.
Exactly. That's not. That ain't your child. Give her a child, man. Let's get out of here.
Verse 27. Then the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High was in him to do judgment.
Yeah. Hey, so I think that was the end of the chapter, but it was just such a heavy chapter because I always like not just me, but when we read, we like to refer to the days that we're in, man, because we understand that what the Lord is going to present situations to us because we have a whole multitude coming. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord is going to present situations to us, but we will have to be able to discern the situations, man. From who's right and who's wrong, good and evil. No matter what the case may be, man. And the people, once we make those decisions, Lord willing, we be those men. These people will see that the Lord is working through us, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is Sirach 4, and this is verse 4, and I'm gonna start at 14. I'm gonna start at verse 14. It says, "They that serve her shall minister to the Holy One, and they that love her shall do with love. So and them that love her, the Lord loveth." Okay, so this is going into wisdom, showing that hey, if you have wisdom, you're gonna have a relationship with the Holy One of Israel, which is Yahweh, and them that obtain wisdom, because when you go into wisdom, it ultimately goes back to the law. It's in the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh, right? So you know what I'm saying? The Lord is going to love you because you're following what you're supposed to do, right? And it says, whosoever, verse 15, it says, whosoever giveth an ear unto her shall judge the nations, and he shall attend unto her and shall dwell securely.
Yeah, and who's doing that? Specifically, the man of great millstone, man. Giving our mind over to what? To prophecies, man, to the understanding. Even our people, man. Because man, your regular, Jake don't give a damn about being able to judge, man. To be able to judge situations, man.
Yeah.
They don't give a damn about that.
Hey, the whole notion in the world is don't judge me.
Yeah.
Right.
Only God can judge me.
Exactly.
That's the world's notion.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment is looked down upon, man.
Yeah.
In this society.
Yeah.
For you to do some wicked shit and say, don't judge me, like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
Is really going into having really an opinion, and our opinions as far as judgment, we judge based off the scriptures. So to go throughout the earth and telling me not to judge things is like just telling me just to be here.
Just accept any and everything.
Any and everything. I can't judge how far it's going to be from me to get from here to the car. Or I can't judge how long it's going to take me to get. Life is full of judgment. Even, you may not even think about it. Subconsciously, you're making judgments throughout your whole walk, man, throughout the day.
I got the
etymology. Spiritual man judge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I pulled up the etymology on judgment because it was going into what the officer is saying. It's a judgment for etymologyonline.com. It says action of trying at law, trial. Also capacity for making decisions.
You said try at law?
Try at law.
Like you said, scriptures.
Yeah.
Should we judge everything through the scriptures?
Right. And what it says about decisions?
It says capacity for making decisions.
Yes. Yeah. So to tell me to not judge is like, don't make any decisions today. Just be here. And go along with whatever the fuck is going on now. No, man, we make decisions on the daily. You know, some micro, some macro.
Yeah.
But we're judges. Man.
Yeah. And I know, you know, us brothers, we had our group chats. You know, certain videos get thrown in there to where judgment, brothers just, oh, this should have happened, this should have happened. If the Lord is exercising our judgment, going back to 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter, of how the Lord exercised King Solomon's judgment when he asked for the wisdom. You know?
So like, you want to get that word wisdom?
You know, go ahead.
No, you get that flow.
Yeah, I got it. That word wisdom in the last verse is H2451, and it's a chachama, and it says wisdom, skill in war, wisdom in administration, shrewdness, prudence in religious affairs.
Said wisdom in administration. That goes back to 1 Corinthians 12, speaking about there's different administrations, the operations of the body, which is the spirit of wisdom in there. You know, all governed by the same spirit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
And if I can say too this real quick, because I'm reading it, it goes to show you the fullness of wisdom too, because this is wisdom in multiple different arenas.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It says wisdom, ethical and religious. Now in the Strong's it says wisdom in a good sense, skillful, wisdom, wisely, wit.
What is that? What is that scripture? I can't believe you read it. Wisdom rain down. Is that wisdom of Solomon?
Skill.
Wisdom rain down skill.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
I can't believe you read it. But also wisdom. Oh, go ahead, Cam.
I was gonna say, you talking about this one?
Go ahead, bro.
Wisdom Solomon 6.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
think
it.
was it that? I think it was in 1 though.
Sirach 1 and 19.
1 and 19.
1 and 19.
Yeah. This is Sirach 1 and 19. Kind of wisdom raining down skill and wisdom raining down skill and knowledge of understanding, standing, and exalted them to honor that hold her fast. The root of wisdom is to fear the Lord, and the branches thereof are long life.
Exactly. Pretty much that whole chapter goes into the fear of the Lord.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But
Matter of fact, to back that, this is Sirach chapter 23 and 28. It is great glory to follow the Lord, and to be received of Him is a long life. But one thing that wisdom reminds me of, and the example that was shown in 1 Kings 3, is wit.
Yeah.
Being witty.
All
right, most people think of witty being kind of like, you know, jokester, clapback game, you know,
Smart
ass. But really, wit is a quick response. It's mental sharpness.
Yeah.
All right, it's a high level of intelligence,
Yeah.
and that's what wisdom gives you. Whenever you see, whenever you see an individual come to the camp and get cut the fuck up, it's because the brother's sharpness with the scripts and wit with the script, which is the wisdom. Which, oh, you said that, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that, get that straight. That's why the apostles and elders continue to say, y'all gotta be sharp. You know what I'm saying? Your wit you have to be a little witty. And what King Solomon did, that was witty. He was quick with it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Which went back to that discernment and the words you pulled out. He heard the cause. Okay, go get the sword. Because then he had it.
Yeah.
He did. In his head, it was almost like a showing, you know, a bluff. You know what I'm saying? You probably really didn't want to cut that baby in half.
Yeah.
I probably really did. You know what I'm saying?
But just add on to the officer's point, because that's a great point. Because when King Solomon asked for the wisdom, the Lord gave him the knowledge of everything. So King Solomon knew how women think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A woman, a baby is a woman's most prized possession, man. But King Solomon knew in his mind that if I cut this baby, I know the truth is gonna come out. He knew the mind of women. That's why he was able to have, even though he ended up going off, he knew that he was able to have 1,000 women, man.
Right.
You know?
Why did Sarah react the way to Hagar?
Exactly.
Why did Hannah and I forgot the Samuel, I forgot his two wives. Why did that wife come against Hannah so much and started mocking and making fun of her? Because she couldn't have a seed. Same thing with Jacob and his wife.
Yeah.
Having a seed is a pivotal thing for these women, especially back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I could add to the author's point too, you know, a real mother that literally bore a child, she's not gonna want to see her child get slayed right in front of her. You know, so she's gonna be like, no. You, all right, as long as the child is alive, we're good. You know, you can just let him live. And a wise king would be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? The one that don't care, because a real mom gonna care. You know, any man that has a woman that woman really loves her children, she'll lay down her life for the child real quick. So for a king to really be able to discern that, like, okay, the mom is gonna literally say, nah, whatever, just let the child live. You know, and that's exactly what happened, and the truth came out.
Yeah. Right. And we're gonna grab a couple more scriptures and close out.
Like I say too, 1 Kings 3:28, it says, "And all Israel heard the judgment of which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High was in him to do judgment." So Israel knew they couldn't be bullshitting with King Solomon.
Yeah. They fear.
They got a level of wisdom too, because fear is the
Because
beginning
they
of wisdom.
marveled. But it said they marveled.
Yeah.
It said they was like, man,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I was gonna say that just shows you the power of wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, and this in today's today as well. When a person realizes that you have wisdom, they're less likely to try you.
Yeah.
You know, they're less likely to try to get over on you because they know they can see that you can see through them.
Yeah.
You know.
I got some.
You got some.
Because you had made. Are you got some?
I got some.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, a few verses. This is 1 Peter chapter 1. I'll start at verse 13. Wherefore, gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach. And this thing about going to this, this account in this chapter with King Solomon, really, he asked the Most High to really gird up and ensure his mind, to really be able to utilize the wisdom, from on high, from Yahweh Yahushua, to really be locked in, like the officer was saying, be locked in and be witty and be able to be quick to judge not only the people of Israel, but the situation that will come through the people of Israel. Let's continuing on. Verse 14, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance, but as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. So it's like, we're hoping and we're praying and we're holding out for our Lord and the Messiah, Yahushua, to come back and save and deliver us through his grace, through his sacrifice. But that process begins now. We're continuously going through that process in which, of course, Yahweh worked with King Solomon at an extremely high level. He's not going to work with us at that level. You see what I'm saying? We're just hoping for that, pure, piece of that, But that process that we're hoping and fighting for, being salvation, it's just a matter of us continuing to just purge and working that now, man, with what we have, and continue just to, abound, towards the grace of Yahweh Yahushua, man. Through that soberness, through taking heed to the Spirit, and what we have through the Scriptures, man.
That's right. I was just going to read this precept in Deuteronomy, because you made mention in the beginning of the lesson about this is what separates us from these other nations. Speaking about the wisdom, but it's also too the law, statutes, and commandments. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 5. And this is Moses speaking to the children of Israel. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. That's all.
I got a quick precept. This is going into what the officer had brought out.
No, go ahead, bro. I'll get that.
This is what the officer was going into earlier. He roughly paraphrased, but I just wanted to bring it out. This is Matthew 6:33, and it says, but seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So when King Solomon asked the Lord for wisdom and to be a righteous judge, he was literally seeking the wisdom of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And what was added onto him? Long life, wealth, women, all those things that you want. But I also wanted to get in the blue letter, the meaning of that word seek. Okay? Because seek is an action verb. All right? It's not something that I'll seek the Lord. No, it's an actual process of doing it. So this is going into the word seek, and it says to seek in order to find.
Yeah.
To seek a thing. To seek in order to find by thinking, meditating, reasoning, to inquire.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's work involved in seeking. You just can't say, "Well, I'm seeking the Lord." No, you got to show diligence.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because King Solomon ruled was for 40 years. You know what I mean? He ruled for 40 years, so it didn't stop there. Like the brothers going into, he continued to follow the Lord, man. Until of course, we understand what happened with King Solomon, but he was brought back through Yahweh Shai, man. So where he continued to seek the Lord, man. You know.
That's it.
I just want.
Matter of fact, we can call off the if anybody else say they have no.
I just wanted to touch back on the beginning of Solomon asking the Lord for wisdom, because the statement he made in verse 7, 1 Kings 3:7, was a very humble statement, and a person that can realize that they don't know nothing, it's easier to work with. The Lord easy to sup with those type of individuals, as opposed to a person that's full of pride that think they know every fucking thing. That would have been a bad attitude to have for Solomon. Be like, shit, I'm already king, so I must already got the tools I need, in order to rule this, such a great people. So 1 Kings 3:7, it says, "And now, O Lord, my power, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to come out, or I know not how to go out or come in." Now that's a humble statement, man. Somebody to make that statement is somebody you can really suck with and kind of you're coachable, as opposed to somebody that's prideful. So this is Psalms chapter 34 and verse 18. It says, "The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit." And that's where it all started, man. Because really the Lord came for those that need healing or that needs to be saved. If we had it all, if we had it all together and we knew every fucking thing, then we already have a ticket on the chariot.
Right.
But it says the Lord saveth them that are of a humble, a contrite spirit, which means to be broken down. And humble goes into being humiliated.
Yeah.
A person that is humiliated opens themselves up to correction and knowledge, man, because they realize they don't know any fucking thing. You got to break stuff down in order to build it back up.
Bro. You got something. Go ahead, bro.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13.
That's
Let us hear.
That's it right there.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Yep. Hey, that's the conclusion, man. It's to fear the Lord, man. That was the conclusion of 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter. It said what the people feared the Lord, man, because they seen the wisdom that was in King Solomon, man. So if we continue, to try to keep the commandments, the law, statutes, and commandments, and keep that fear that we have of our Father and the Son, then the Lord will guide us through Jacob's trouble, martial law, the chip. Isaiah 33:6, man. So that was the whole premises, of doing this lesson is to ask the Lord, not be afraid to ask the Lord for things, and to keep that fear and to be able to discern between what's good and what's bad, man. You know, so Lord willing, you know, this lesson was edifying. We'll go ahead and close out. Oh, Salaki, shalom to the Akim on the comment board.
Shalom.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and close out by giving all praises and infinite glory unto
Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash.
double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and safety to the Akim that spread across the four corners of the world, that's pushing out this truth with all diligence and also putting their lives on the line to do so. To the next time, we'll say shalom.
Shalom.